The member for Cape Breton, Canso.
Mr. Speaker, day after day as industry after Canadian industry hit the wall and Canadian workers hit the streets, all we've seen from the Minister of Human Resources is standing, regurgitating talking points. She's like the ShamWow salesman, Mr. Speaker, and Canadians aren't buying it. Canadians aren't buying it. What we see in Atlantic Canada is a pending crisis in the Atlantic lobster fishery, Mr. Speaker. What is the minister willing to do to help these people and spare us the sales pitch? This minister has to understand the problem, the hardship out there. When is she going to wake up, take some action, and show these people that she gives a damn? Well, Mr. Speaker, it's interesting that they use the TV time to talk about the banking system. He's going to separate his shoulder, patting himself on the back about the banking system, when we know, when Canadians know, it was successive Liberal governments that stood up for banking in this country. With today's news of the record job losses, does the minister understand the degree of urgency that is out there? I ask this minister, please help these people. I'm very, very fortunate. I come from an area in Cape Breton, and I look at some of the artists that have contributed not just to the local music scene, but nationally and internationally. When you talk about Natalie McMaster and the Rankins and Ashley McIsaac and Rita McNeil, and to a person, to an artist, each one of them can go back and they can speak about their first time being on the radio. They can talk about their first interview where they learn their chops on the airwaves, and it will be CBC Sydney. Ron James, a comedian, Ron James, great guy, huge international success. Where did he get his start? CBC Sydney, in the local stations. They were there for the good times. They were there for the tough times to tell the stories. They were there in the Canada Games when we hosted the Canada Games in '87, and it was a great celebration. And they talked about Cape Breton right across this country. Those stories were delivered across the country. I have a quiz for the House today, Mr. Speaker. What's the most famous and iconic lighthouse in all of Canada? Peggy's Cove. I didn't hear anything from that side of the House, Mr. Speaker. Not because they didn't know, but because they're embarrassed, because they can't find $25,000 to paint that international landmark. From fishermen in Atlantic Canada to forestry workers in British Columbia, Canadians, through no fault of their own, are losing their jobs and they're not eligible for EI. 3 weeks ago, the finance minister said that he was willing to work with opposition parties to fix EI and stimulate the economy. Those suggestions were totally dismissed by the Prime Minister. So obviously, the Prime Minister has no confidence in his finance minister. My question is simple. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing and replace the finance minister? Bravo.